Hi and welcome to One Wood Life. In this channel, we draw insights from modern science and ancient wisdom that can help us live a happy and meaningful life. Today, we bring you a bit of a unique or perhaps odd video. I will be talking through a personal tip of mine for improving posture, or more specifically, becoming aware of your own posture so that you can then correct it. This can be helpful for improving back pain and in general taking care of your back health. So this topic is pretty close to my heart. When I was in high school, I went to the doctor and I found out that I have scoliosis. So this is when your back is sort of twisted. Sometimes there can be like just one twist, or perhaps a twist in the lower back can lead to another compensatory twist in the upper back. And of course, the degrees of these twists can vary a lot, with more pronounced cases sometimes requiring surgery. My case was never that pronounced, but it was relatively pronounced in general. If I remember correctly, I think my twists were about 60 degrees in my lower back and 30 degrees in my upper back. And of course, these twists aren't just on one axis. They might also involve not just a lateral rotation, but also part of your lower back sticking out in your back more than the other half. So as a teenager, I went for a while to something called Global Postural Reeducation, GPR, which is a form of physiotherapy meant to help you become aware of your postural misalignments and also give you sort of a practical intuition of how to compensate for this and how to correct it in everyday situations. So I would go to this physiotherapy and they would make me lie down in, what is it called? Is it bed or table stretcher? And they will use blocks and props to sort of compensate for parts of my back and spine that were popping out in places that it shouldn't. And they would also encourage me to use my breath as a way of twisting my back in sort of the correct way to compensate for my misalignment. Hopefully I'm making sense, because it's pretty hard to explain this in words. If you stay till the end of this video, I will show you examples in real life using my own back, which can be helpful in thinking about your posture. So something that started happening in those years is I internalized these corrections so much that I would do them at any time. When I was sitting down, from time to time I would become aware and mindful of my posture and I would correct it. And I remember a close friend in school laughing at me for making these sort of like odd, very subtle alignments. And because my scoliosis was sort of diagnosed relatively late, the doctor didn't have too much hope that I would be able to reverse it too much, but these were suggested to me as ways of preventing my twists from becoming more pronounced. However, a few years later, I went to a different doctor for sort of a different topic, and I mentioned that I have scoliosis, and they made me do a new x-ray, and to my surprise they seemed to be pleasantly satisfied with my progress. My back health had actually improved quite a lot. So I think the reason for that was that I really internalized these corrections. I kept doing them for the next 10-15 years and I still do them today. So today I'm sharing them with you so that perhaps you can also use them yourself to improve your posture and prevent back pain from happening. It's interesting, I recently learned that back pain is the principal reason why people seek help outside of mainstream medicine, because not many interventions really help too much for chronic pain. In future videos I'll be touching on the interventions that seem to help the most, so stay tuned for that. But let's get started with today's video and the examples I want to show you. So the idea is that you pick some moments in your everyday life that you repeat most days. For instance, sleeping, sitting down, brushing your teeth, doing the dishes, etc. Over time, you'll notice your posture more frequently and you'll be able to do these corrections more often as well. If you think of posture, there are some obvious misalignments that you might think of, such as very pronounced slouches, for which people typically recommend pushing your shoulders back and opening through the chest. Or you might also think of pelvis being in sort of this position, for which we need to push the belly in and tuck in the tailbone. As I'm speaking, I'm realizing that I'm sort of twisted to one side because of the way I'm positioning my legs, which is fine as long as I also switch it sometimes. And what I've noticed is that we tend to stand in always the same poses and we don't often inverse them or reverse them. For instance, here, I'm noticing that my right shoulder is higher up than my left shoulder. So the first correction I'll do is I'll bring them in line. Another thing I've noticed is that my hips are pushed to the right, and this is because of the position of my left feet, which you cannot see, but sort of sticking out. So what I will do next is, keeping my shoulders in line, I'll align my hips as well. And to help with balance, I'll reverse the order of my feet and I'll make that one stick out. So this position actually feels pretty unnatural to me. It doesn't feel very comfortable. I will note though that if at any point while doing these corrections something hurts or it feels really uncomfortable, definitely stop right there and go talk to a physiotherapist, which is a good idea anyway, regardless of whether you actually experience pain while doing these adjustments or not. They will be able to see you in person and give you recommendations that are tailored to your specific situation and your specific back and posture. So this feels pretty unnatural to me. However, I'm pretty sure when I actually look at this video, I'll notice that I look straight and I don't look misaligned. So that's something key to remember. When doing these corrections, we'll probably think that we've just fully reversed it and then now we are just as misaligned but on the other side. But in reality, when we look back at our photos, we'll realize that perhaps what feels to us like a massive correction is just getting ourselves to that straight up position. And to go back to the same degree of misalignment that I had before, perhaps I need to make it even more pronounced, like something perhaps like this. I'll check in the video later whether the degrees of tilt is equivalent to the one I had before. So great, this is a quick example of some corrections that you can do. Come with me and I'll show you some more around the house. You can try making these set-shaped movements, which can help you notice whether you are more flexible on one side or the other. Perhaps when you tilt your head on one side or the other, you realize that there's one side in which you have more range of movement. I can reach further when tilting to the left than to the right. I start feeling my muscles and my spine being less comfortable or less used to this position. That aligns with the shape of my scoliosis, but also it's a good indicator that I might have to stretch and practice this lateral extension more than my left extension. And that can happen in general when stretching during a yoga class or after a workout. Try to deepen your awareness of the slight differences between one side and the other, and putting more of a focus on the sides that feel less natural to you today. Here, for instance, I'm really comfortable scrolling through my phone, but if I reverse this position, it doesn't hurt, but it feels less comfortable and way more unnatural, which probably indicates I need to try to be in this position more for my back to get used to this slightly different twist from the one I normally default to, and which most likely will predict in what direction I bend forward when I'm older. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I remind you that I'm not a health professional nor a physiotherapist. They will be able to give you way more tailored recommendations after seeing you and your unique posture, which I cannot do on YouTube. Let me know in your comments what you think of this video. Perhaps you go like, of course, it's so obvious, I do this all the time. Or for some of you, perhaps you never take even a millisecond to become aware and mindful of the way you're sitting or standing. Perhaps you are familiar with some corrections to try to emulate some perfect posture, but you never thought about the possibility of just completely inversing the posture and reversing it sort of as a 180-degree twist. Try it out if you haven't before and let me know how it goes. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can stay in touch and cover more topics and practical ideas that can help you improve your overall health and wellness. Take a deep breath, go enjoy your life, and see you next week.